right, so our keynote speaker, our final speaker of the conference. I have to be honest, I've had the pleasure of introducing her a few times before, and I cannot give this person a proper introduction. I can't, because number one, I can't talk that big. And number two, the next speaker means too much to me that I can like just recite blah, 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 and da, 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 da. Right? I just can't do it. And she hates when I do this, but I don't care. I still do it anyway. Most of you don't know this. I don't expect you to know this, but I'm an only child. So growing up, I never had that older sibling. I never had that sibling one step up.
Did you just say older? I'm just checking.
To look for, to look to and to look for guidance. And then our next speaker came into my life, and that hole in my life was filled. Because I've got the person who keeps me out of trouble and puts me on the right path. And that whenever I need, at any time, day or night, I know that I can just hit the phone and she answers like that. So I like I said, I cannot do a proper introduction for the next person. So Lisa Copeland.
Thank you. Okay, I have to clarify something though, y'all. He did say older sister. Now, when you're in the professional speaking world, you understand how to get around things a little bit sometimes. He could have said anything but that I was his older sister, right? I love you, Frankie. And I also call him Frankie. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Lisa Copeland. And today I want to talk about something that I think we need to consider. How many people here are in the retail automotive business? Retail side of the house. Okay, how many people are partners, vendors? Okay, is everybody here in the automotive industry? Okay, is everybody here in the industry to sell something? Okay, so what we're going to talk about is the new world order. So I want to talk about how business is done nowadays. So let's get into it a little bit. So just a little bit about me. I'm a former award-winning dealer principal. So I started out as a car salesman, worked my way all the way up. I held every job in the dealership except for service manager. My team broke the world record in 2012, North American world record for Fiat sales. 2016 was the day I decided I was going to sell my car dealership. Why? Because I had a buyer. And number two, I felt like I had rung every bell I could ring when Automotive News named me in the top 100 women in automotive. It was the greatest day of my life. I got to hang out with people like Mary Barra and Elena Ford. And in 2012 and 16, my dealerships won the Best Workplace Award for Automotive News. But most importantly, I started out as a car salesman. So there's the credibility. I'm one of you. I sold cars. I was not the wife or a daughter of a car dealer. My mantra has always been in the automotive industry, it isn't what you sell, it's what you stand for. And if you stand for something big enough, people are going to buy what you're selling, even if you're selling a car that's this big in the land of trucks and SUVs. And that was the proudest moment in my automotive career, and that's Mr. Sergio Marchioni. He passed away a couple of months ago. He was the former chairman of the board of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Ferrari, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, and Fiat. And he visited my dealership after that young sales team broke the world sales record. And I had the honor of leading the greatest team in the nation. And it was probably the greatest day of my career because that man flew in on his Gulfstream and honored my team. So I want to talk to you about what is the art of the big sell. See, we're talking about today how to do things differently. The world has changed. It's changed since I started selling cars in 1986. How many people in this room were selling cars in the 80s? How many people in this room had to get into phone books and call people and set appointments, right? We are salesmen and saleswomen. That's what we did. We didn't have social media. We couldn't become what I call a car star and do the social media thing. The world has changed and we have to change with it. So I've got a book coming out in the next few months and it's called The Art of the Big Sell. Build a movement, build an empire. See, everybody in this room can build their own movement. And so I want to talk about some people in the automotive industry that have built a movement, from car salesmen to car dealers to actual manufacturers. So the ability to galvanize people behind your big idea, isn't it easier, just like Kendrick said earlier, to sell a friend? Isn't it easier to sell people that we know, people that are familiar with us? Let me tell y'all, it is a hard gig getting in the phone book, right? Dialing for dollars. And how many appointments on a Saturday morning did you have to have out of the phone book? 3. Okay, I think we were at 5. Here's how the call went. I'm in the A's in the phone book. Hi, Mrs. Abernathy, for lack of a better word. This is Lisa, Jim Johnson Chevrolet. And I'm just wondering if I could make an appointment with you today to come down and drive a new Chevy Cavalier. Click. Right? But you would get enough of those that we could usually get 3 to 5 people down to buy a car. And we'd offer them all kinds of things. I'll buy you a tank of gas. Did you guys do that? I'll buy your lunch. You get down there and they're like, well, where's my lunch? Oh, well, we have lunch in the lunchroom. You want to come meet with all the car salesmen? That never went over very well, but it got them in the store. And if we got them in the store, we were probably going to sell them a car. This thing's a little cattywamped. Okay. So the world has changed, but now we have the power through social media to galvanize people, to get people behind us and our big idea. Who in this room has a big idea that you want to sell? That's it. How about my front row up here? Everybody's got a big idea. A big idea is a big dream. You see, when I had that Fiat store, my big idea, my big dream, my big movement is that I wanted to revolutionize the auto industry. I wanted to show an industry that women, minorities, and millennials were just as good as those white cowboys out there selling Fords. And you saw my team, they did it, right? That was my big idea, that we could change the customer experience, that we could open a car dealership in a high-end shopping center in Austin, Texas, in the land of trucks and SUVs. And guess who went in after us in that high-end shopping center after we broke that world record? Tesla. You better believe it. Elon, you big old copycat. All right, so what is the art of the big sell? The art of the big sell is micro, okay? It's for individuals. How many people in this room have an idea? You have something that you've got a burning desire to do something. Whether it's in the automotive business, it's a side hustle, whatever it may be. You want to do something different someday than what you're doing today. Even if that means that something different is that you're more successful than you were when you came to this conference. That you're making more money than when you came to this conference. Anybody in this room want to do that? Yeah, that's why we're here. How many people are hungover? This is day 2. Be honest, because you're a little soft on me. I always hate being the closing speaker in Las Vegas, but I think the first time I met Frank Lopes, I was the opening keynote with David Villa for Digital Dealer. That's another hungover group of car salesmen, let me just tell you right now. Okay, so it effectively is communicating the big idea and receiving it from your base. Okay, so who in this room has a base? I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing that. Who in this room has a base of people? It goes back to what Sean Thomas was talking about. It goes back to what Kendrick was talking about. And I didn't hear the other speakers because I raced in here from Austin today. All right, you've got a base of people. How many people in this room are using your base of people to build your business, to build your empire? Ask a millionaire back there. How many people in this room would like to take the people you know and monetize it? To make more money. And that might just be making more money if you're on the vendor or you're on the partner side. Why are you not friends with every car dealer in the country? I'm doing business with a gentleman right now, a big vendor. I'm not going to say his name on stage. I know we're live. And I said, and he and I are doing a deal together. We put it together this morning and I talked to him on the way to the airport. And I said, how come you never called on me when I was a car dealer? And he goes, I don't know. I should fire somebody, huh? I'm like, yeah. And I said, because how come I didn't know who you were? But in today's world, that is not an excuse. The number one place for you to build your movement, build your empire is LinkedIn, is social media, right? It's easier. It's so much easier today than it was when we had to get in the phone book. These young ones just don't know, since I'm Frank's older sister and all, but the young ones just don't realize what we had to go through to get a lead, to find a prospect, to get someone to walk in the front door. Today, it's easy. You build a movement, you can build your empire. Who wants to build an empire in this room? And you can sit at your desk and you can build an empire. Who in this room wants to make more money, whether you're selling cars or you're selling extended warranties or you're selling HR services and software, which is really good over here, by the way. I've got customers using it. And training, Anthony? Anthony, how do I know you? Through Facebook, through social media. Anthony spends more time in my group, Big Sellers Mastermind, than anybody else, contributing to it. And when I first met you, which was, I think, a couple of days ago in Orlando, we were in Orlando. Yeah, for the first time, I felt like I was having cocktails with an old friend. I'm like, Anthony, hey, what you doing? You know, what's going on? So there's no excuses today not to be successful. There's no excuses today not to build an empire. You just have to decide, do you want to play small or do you want to play big? Who wants to play big in this room? Right. Life is short and tomorrow is not promised. So do you want to play small or you want to ask a millionaire? You want to make Sean Thomas kind of money online sitting at your desk selling cars? Yes. Yeah, right. Well, you got to do something about it. You got to build a movement. So you've got to really come down to what is your big idea, okay? So what is your big idea? Do you want to increase production? Do you want to get a promotion? Do you want to build a movement? Do you want to galvanize your customer base? How many people in here keep an active customer base? How many people in here have business Facebook pages? How many people, and Anthony, you're not allowed to answer because you are my A+ student. How many people in here interact on a daily basis with their customers? I do. I am all day long. How many people in here watch my 6:45 a.m. Facebook show now? Oh, good, thank you. Anyways, yeah, but that's a decision I had to make. So every morning, 7 days a week, which I'll wrap it with that, so I'm not going to get into it quite yet. But I made a commitment to my customers and the people who follow me that I would give them 15 minutes of my undivided attention every single morning, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Why? Because those are my people. Those are people that buy what I'm selling. So, when you build a movement, you've got to define who is the common enemy. Now, for me, my movement in the automotive industry at that time was I wanted to revolutionize it, right? I wanted to show an industry that women, minorities, and millennials were just as good as the boys selling Ford trucks down the street. Because we are a very disenfranchised group of consumers and retail operators in the automotive industry. So that was the common enemy, the industry itself. And people said to me, but Lisa, you better watch out. You better get out of automotive news and you better quit talking about the fact that women are not treated the same as men in the automotive industry. You're going to piss off the wrong people. And you know what I said? Guess who my customers are? The women, the minorities, and the millennials. So I don't care if the whole industry turns their back on me because those are my people. They are behind my movement, which is to revolutionize the auto industry. So this is one of my favorite slides ever. Who is a superhero without a villain? Who is Batman without Joker? Who is he? A dude in tights, okay? That's it. He's just a guy in tights. If there is not a villain, we don't need a superhero. So are you going to declare yourself the superhero of your industry? Are you going to be the superhero, the best car dealership in the country to do business with because you treat everybody the same and you give them a great customer experience? Am I going to do business with Anthony and your training company because you're going to come in and you're going to kick it in the ass for me, right? And you're going to train my people to be the best people when it comes to experiential car buying. That's it. End of story. Your movement, and I know and I know Craig very, very well, but you guys are against people or you are for the industry and you're for bringing people, especially women, into the industry and teaching them how to do it the right way, right? You guys, AutoMax has built a movement. Don't kid yourself. And if I knew about the rest of your businesses, I could tell you. You can build a movement. How many people in this room, there's something within your industry, within the sector that you work in, you think that just isn't right, and if it was done differently, I would do, and the industry would do so much better. That's the big idea. What's your big idea? You build a movement, you galvanize, you decide who the common enemy is, because without that, without an enemy, you can't be a superhero. You're just a guy or a girl in tights. So I'm going to give you just some people that are in the industry today that I'm sure all of you follow on social media. They all happen to be very, very good friends of mine. So who was the common enemy? Myself. You guys know who I am now. It was the industry itself. My good friend Brian Benstock, who is the managing partner and the general manager of Paragon Honda, #1 Honda store in the country. Guy is a rock star, just the most solid car dealer I've probably ever met. You know, the enemy for him is friction. He says the future of automotive is frictionless. So Paragon Direct, you guys know Paragon Honda? You can't open up Facebook or Automotive News and Brian's face isn't in there. And people are telling him within the industry, you're crazy, slow down there, cowboy. Stop it. You're raising a ruckus and you're making people think that you have to have your car delivered to you from service. And Brian's like, hey, I'm not slowing down because of you. I know where the industry's going. So I'm going to lead and the rest of you can follow, otherwise you're going to be obsolete, right? He started a movement. The future is frictionless. My good friend Glenn Lundy. You guys know Dan Cummins Chevrolet? You cannot be on Facebook and not know the men and women of Dan Cummins Chevrolet. So his was 8 years ago, he started there because he was fundamentally against bullies and the bully leadership that is so prevalent in the automotive industry. And so he took a stand, and he has made it his battle cry that he will not put up with it, that he will not engage in it. And do you know that they are bringing on salespeople 10 and 15 at a time? They're moving to Paris, Kentucky, that they're selling 1,000 cars a month in Paris, Kentucky, with a population of 9,000 people? How does that happen? They built a movement. And the consumers want to be part of good behavior. The lack of respect for salespeople. Anybody know Sean Hayes in the room? Yeah, we all know Sean Hayes, right? He did the same thing. What did Sean Hayes do? He ended up working with Glenn Lundy, moving all the way across the country because he wanted to be part of something bigger. He wanted to be part of something that would revolutionize the auto industry. And then Scott Simons, I don't know if you know him, lack of transparency. He owns, he's the managing partner of the Valley Auto Group in Pennsylvania, another just really great guy, and he's just put it all out there. All of his leaders have on social media. You see, that's a big problem in our industry today is, there's that whole, magician behind the curtain. And customers don't like it. And frankly, millennials don't want to work for that. Millennials, women, and people that want to work in this industry, they want to work for the Glenn Lundys and the Sean Hayes and the Scott Simons and the Brian Benstocks and used to the Lisa Copelands of the world. And how did I become such good friends with these guys? I mean, these guys are like some of my very best friends in the world. You know how we became such great friends? Because we're all part of the same movement. We have galvanized together. I root for them and they root for me. We fundamentally come together on our beliefs, right? Does everybody in this room, isn't that why you're here? Because you fundamentally believe the same thing? So what are you going to do about it? I want you to think about that really, really hard. What are you going to do when you leave here today? How many people in this room really have a big idea? You really want to take that idea and you want to incite change? Hands. Okay. Oh, my front row, thank you. It's giving you girls a bad time. Okay, so what is a movement? Because we hear about movements, right? There's Me Too. I mean, we're not even going to go there. There's lots of movements. I'm in an auto conference. We're not going there. Not going there. But anyways, there's lots of movements. So like one of the movements I like to talk about is, so not to get into politics, but there have been 2 presidents that have started movements and has put them in the White House, right? President number 1, President Obama. I can't even think of what his was right now. Hope, right? It was hope and change. And then Trump's, of course, was Make America Great Again. And I'm a firm believer that both of those men were put into the White House, not so much because people voted for the man, but they voted for the movement. People wanted something different, and the candidates that lost, they didn't have anything for people to galvanize behind. You see, because men and women, we are fallen creatures. So it's really hard to say, I'm going to put everything on the line and I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because I like him as a person. Not so much. Okay? But I do want to make America great again. So if I want to make America great again, I can get behind that, and then I can kind of forget about all the other stuff I've heard about him in the press on all the way up till election day and ahead of time, right? Does that make sense? When you build a movement, you take the man or the woman out of it, and that's how you galvanize people, is around the one big idea. And the one big idea was to make America great again. And I know people that voted for him that didn't like him very much, but they wanted to make America great again. And there were people that voted for President Obama because they wanted hope and they wanted change. I don't think that they liked him as much. They probably liked him a little bit better, honestly. But with that being said, they believed in hope and change, and they wanted something different, so they got behind the movement. Does that make sense? Okay, that's what it's going to take to truly incite change in our industry. So a movement is to galvanize others around your big idea. Okay, so as the leader of the movement, you say, this is the big idea. This is what I believe. Now, not everybody's going to follow you. Just know that. And very, very quickly, you're going to figure out, those are not my people. And you know what? That's okay. And I'm going to talk about that as we go further into it. And a movement is others-centric. So there's purpose. What is your purpose, Lisa? Well, my purpose was to, and still is to revolutionize an industry I love so much. Period. I want it to be a great place because I believe that someone like me, who started out as a car salesperson, could retire as a dealer principal. And if I can do it, you can do it. Great industry. Didn't need to have a PhD like my mother. Didn't need to have any of that. I just needed to have a P for people. You have to love people to love this business. So what a movement is not. It's not about self-promotion. And I see a lot of people out there on social media, and it's all about them. Do, I'm so great, I'm so great. That isn't a movement. That's just your own fan club, okay? A movement is not for self-gain. So a movement's got to be for something bigger than you, okay? Now, you're allowed to have self-gain, and you can galvanize people around your idea, but you can't call it a movement because it'll never, ever stick. It will not gain legs. And most importantly, a movement is not for evil, okay? A business movement. Now, there are social movements, and I don't want to call them for evil, but they're meant to raise the roof, for lack of a better word, right? They are there to incite change for social issues. But a business movement and the automotive industry, and if we really want to incite change, we need to be able to bring a lot of people to the party. So that movement that you create, the big idea, like what Brian Benstock did, and Glenn Lundy has done, and Sean Hayes, and Scott Simons, and all who I consider the greatest automotive leaders right now in the industry, they did it because it made the world a better place for both their employees and for their customers. That's a movement. It's not for evil. And I've seen people try to do that, rise up against their employers. So the fierce system is a proven way to win. And those of you who know me, they know what FIERCE is. FIERCE is an acronym. So I tried to figure out everything I've learned in life for 30 years in the automotive industry and just a lot of years selling stuff. The easiest way to remember it is F is fearless, but it's to fear less, okay? To be fearless is to be reckless. I don't want you to be reckless. I think Sean talked about it. You know, nativity. Nativity. I have not even had a cocktail yet. Obviously, I need one. But anyways, you know, it is to take that one step today that you weren't willing to take yesterday. And maybe for all of those in the automotive industry, it's to ask for that promotion. Hey, boss, I've worked really hard here for the last couple of years. I'd like to know what my career track is because we are notorious in the automotive industry for not knowing what our career track is, huh? Any amens on that one? Yeah. So, so it's to fear less. So it isn't to sit back and then and go try to find something else or someone else will pay attention to you. It's to walk into your destiny. It's to fear less, but not to be fearless. Number two, the I in fierce is to take initiative. See, nothing happens if you don't try, if you don't fear less, take the step and make the decision that you're going to ask for everything that you want and deserve. Who in this room deserves and wants more than what they've got today? You do. What are you going to do about it? You're going to be fierce. I'm not done on fierce, though, see? And number three, you've got to be enthusiastic. Does anybody want to work with or work for Debbie Downer? No. If you're not doing what you love, there's nothing I can say to you to make you love it. Don't do it. Get out. If you don't like people, get out of sales. If you don't like people, get out of the auto industry. Go into programming or technology or something. Do something different. I cannot give that to you. That is a born. Do you think Kendrick likes what she does? Yeah. And she's like that all the time, so I talk to her all the time. Like, girl, you are just on it all the time. All right. And then the R is for relentless. We are a business and an industry that if you are not relentless, you will get your asses kicked. There's a lot of competition out there. Do we agree? Yeah. You've got to be relentless if you're on the retail side, if you're on the vendor side. I don't know how many no's. I'm a consultant now, and I have a software company. And I don't know how many no's. And I know people. Like, I know the right people. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, Lisa, no. And I'm like, yeah, I'm calling you back tomorrow, right? Right? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, and don't block my call because I'm going to call you back the next day. Because you're going to have to tell me why it's a no. Because I believe to my very soul what I'm offering you is the best thing for you and your business. It'll help you sell cars, and you're an idiot if you don't do it. Do all of you believe it that strong about what you do? Because if you don't, I'm hiring. Okay. And the C in fierce is to crush approval addiction. And someone said this to me a long time ago. Hey, Lisa, you know what? There's a lot of times when you walk into a room, people don't like you. And I'd be like, oh, God. And then take it to the level where you stand on a stage and you talk to a lot of people at one time. Then you really have a lot of people in a room that don't like you. But once you become a certain age and get coined as Frank's older sister, you start to understand that if people don't like you, then they're just not your people. Doesn't mean they're bad people. I kind of think they're bad people, I won't lie. But it gets down to you've got to crush approval addiction because that will hold us back. That will keep us from being all that we can be. Is because we're worried about what you think about me. And so therefore, I can't talk to you in the full power that I know I can talk to you in because I'm so worried about like, why don't you like me? Because like maybe my jeans are ripped. And that kind of happened on the airplane and I kind of went through, but that's okay. I'm at Rockstar Auto Conference. I'm going to own the ripped jeans, but you might not like me because of it, right? That's your problem, not mine, okay? That's the stance. That's what you've got to take. We are in a business that it will eat you alive if you cannot get into that fierce mindset. Fierce. The automotive industry is not for sissies. I can't tell you how many times as a dealer principal, I would go into my office, close the door, and cry. Just cry. I was a Fiat dealer. You would have cried too. God. Seriously, God. I mean, I had like 800 cars on the lot when I would leave in the morning, and then I'd come back the next day, there was 1,600. I'm like, they're breeding. Like, they're doubling, and my sales are going backwards. I cried a lot. Maybe drank. Thank God I don't do drugs. All right. And then the last E in fierce is to execute. You see, because you can be fearless, you can have initiative, you can have enthusiasm, you can be relentless, you can crush approval addiction, but if you don't get off the couch and you don't execute every single day, 365 days a year, boo, you'll lose. You'll lose. We are in a game. See, a lot of industries are not as tough as our industries. Who in this room thinks this is a pretty tough industry? Tough, yeah, right? Tough from an approval addiction standpoint. Have you guys been in those social media groups sometimes? I'm just like, huh. And somehow somebody tagged me last week, and somebody else who I have no clue who this person is goes, she thinks because she sold the most Fiat, she cured cancer. I'm like, not really. I won't even say what the rest of the thing I thought about him, and then blocked him after that. But I thought, where did that come from? Right? Where did that come from? I mean, we're in a really, really dicey, tough business that you've got to have a really thick skin. And that's why, yeah, see? And that's why I put approval addiction, crush approval addiction, and it's not as prevalent in other industries as it is in the automotive industry, right? How many people in this room fundamentally believe that you know that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, exactly at the right time, today, right now? You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Yep. Okay, for those of you who don't, let's talk afterwards. I'm hiring. So fierce is a proven system to win. But when you're truly fierce, you've got to have non-negotiables. How many people in this room have a non-negotiable? Okay, professionals use their time wisely. Amateurs waste it. Nothing made me crazier than on the showroom floor. When people, I'd have salespeople, I got to work bell to bell, boss. Well, that's because you spent 6 hours on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on texting with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. You didn't work efficiently, right? To be unapologetically fierce and to be professional, you've got to use your time wisely. Professionals manage their inner state. Never see them sweat. Never let them see you sweat. And for God's sakes, if you're the boss, don't ever let them see you cry. So I had an office in the back, and then I could just go out the back door and get into my car that was parked right over there. And there were days that happened, okay? This is not a big industry of wearing your feelings on your sleeves. Would you agree with that, Matt? Where's Matt? Wholeheartedly, right? We don't have the luxury of doing that. This is a fierce business. I'm not saying not to feel. I'm saying if you're going to do it in the bathroom, go home, do it in the closet, do whatever you're going to do. Don't do it publicly. Amateurs let the external world manage it. Okay? Professionals are able to manage it publicly. Amateurs let it all go in public or on social media. Don't do it. It sucks. It's so bad. Professionals are snipers and amateurs are gunslingers. What's a sniper? That means this is the deal I'm going to get. Pow. Right? You're a gunslinger. I'm just trying to get everything. I'm trying to be everything to everybody. You can't do it and be successful. I know exactly what I do, how I do it, why I do it. And therefore, whoever does business with me is going to pay for that expertise, because I am a sniper not a gunslinger. I know a lot, or I know a little about a lot, but I'm an expert when it comes to sales strategy. Are you an expert in your field? Or are you a gunslinger? Everybody in this room, we all know a little about a lot of things in the automotive industry. Who in this room calls themselves an expert in their field? Okay? From an expert, who in this room is a sniper? It's just the back of the room. So that's something for you guys to think about, though. What is your expertise? Because, see, people will pay an expert, and they'll pay them all the money in the world. Professionals are concerned with execution and getting started ASAP. Amateurs are concerned with perfection. I love this one. Perfection is paralysis. I've seen more people not get things started because they're waiting for it to be perfect versus just going and getting it done, getting it started. And what I call that is starting at 1.0. Just call it 1.0. People don't know. Hey, guess what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to launch this idea. I'm going to go ahead and do this. But hey, guess what? This is just version 1.0. 2.0 is coming. Who knows, right? But it does give you an out. And then professionals close, amateurs start and never finish. Have you ever worked with people? It's like you're still working on the same deals that you're working on 90 days ago. I have 90 checks instead, right? Professionals get paid. Amateurs sit and talk about it and roll around with it. So I've got something for you guys just for being so awesome, and thank you, because I know I'm the only one between you and happy hour and me and happy hour. So I've got expressing your fierce voice, and so it's all about building a personal brand. And so if you want a free copy of it, and it's you're going to text Big Sell, one word, Big Sell, to 345-345, and you'll get a copy of the course. And it'll show you how to build a fierce personal brand that's authentic to you. See, my fierce personal brand is different than your fierce brand, because I'm fearless differently than you are, right? So anyways, with that being said, I want to thank you guys very much. I want to just encourage you to be unapologetically fierce 365 days a year, and your life will change forever. And follow me on Facebook or Twitter, and join Big Sellers Mastermind group, because I'm in there like 19 times a day. Always giving back with a great community, and Matt's in there, and everyone's in there. Everyone's in there. So anyways, you guys, thank you. Be fierce.